Hello everybody and welcome to Robin's TV Extra Time, where we take an in-depth look at Bristol City's performances across the season. Today we are reflecting on the 1-0 win at home against Derby County. It wasn't necessarily a game that will live long in the memory perhaps, but an important 3 points for Liam Manning's side. And joined in the studio for this one this afternoon by two of our former players. We've got Leroy Rosenior and we have Aaron Brown alongside me. Thank you both for joining us here today. Aaron, you're on co-coms. We're going to take a look at the stats for this game, but what was your view of it? How did you sort of surmise the 90?
I found it was a very bitty game. No team dominated the game. I felt like a lot of scrappy tackles and not a lot of quality chances. I thought Derby looked a little bit dangerous when they did have set pieces. I thought there was occasions when Scott Twine got into little pockets and was able to turn and get the ball out wide. We got some good crosses in, but generally, as an overall game, like I said, it was a bit of a damp squib really. But obviously it was important because we got the win. Absolutely.
And Leroy, I'll come to you for your thoughts as well. Perhaps we take a look on screen at just what this match looked like statistically, but I think that's a pretty fair summary really in terms of those expected goals. You see it there. Leroy, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think Aaron's absolutely spot on with his analysis. Possession more or less even, but I think the key one is expected goals. Even though the game was scrappy, City created the better opportunities. And you think about the Scott Twine chance in the first half and the Ross McCoy chance compared to Derby's from set piece areas where they're being challenged, 11 to 9 shots. And then you just go down there. I mean, Jules won 65 each. Just shows just how bitty the game was because it was a lack of quality, giving the ball away, big tackles, and within those central areas of the pitch, and that kind of summed up the game. But look, City had the better quality chances. Derby 0.37 didn't really threaten the goal. The saves that Max had to make, he would have expected to make them, and he did. So, look, 1-0 in a 46-game championship season where you'll forget the game, but the 3 points is important, is great because the more of those, the better. When you're in those sort of scrappy games.
Absolutely, you'll take it. Well, perhaps one moment of quality, certainly in the first half, was Bristol City's goal. Came on the 19th minute, and perhaps an unlikely goal scorer for this one in Luke McNally. But Leroy, I'll start with you as a former goal scorer yourself, because this is some finish from the defender.
It's some finish, but it needs to be a more likely goal scorer because the centre halves have got to chip in with goals, and usually with the head. But this was the reason why it was top quality, because the outside of the foot volley is magnificent. I mean, he's only scored top quality goals, hasn't he? The delivery is terrific because it means that the Derby defenders are running back to their own goal, and even that, Kane Wilson hasn't done a lot wrong. His right side, he's trying to use his strength to hold McNally off, and what McNally does really well, he just kind of arcs his foot around the front of Kane Wilson and just gets a good contact. A really fantastic finish. Really was.
Aaron, what was your view of it?
Yeah, I obviously like to repeat what Leroy said, but also the timing of the run as well, because you can see how they tried to hold the line on the edge of the box. They didn't want to drop anymore, but obviously he's used his strength and his timing, and like I said, obviously when he's got there, he's used an excellent finish to get 1-0.
Absolutely, and I think that's his third goal of the season as well, so he is notching in with a few. Third assist, I think, for Scott Twine as well, so again, important contributions. But it was a set piece for Bristol City, and that was comparatively where we thought Derby would probably, if they were going to get anything from this game today, it was from their set pieces.
Yeah, let's be honest, in terms of open play, you never thought they were going to open City up. The City defended really well, but they've had a record of having shown a lot of quality from set piece. And I said at the start of the game, I thought Ross McCoy was in the side to kind of neutralise that threat from Derby, and you can see why. They do a lot of work on them, and in Nelson, in Wilson, Jackson, obviously another big lad. Nat Phillips, they've got some big lads and they're good in the air. So it's something City had to make sure they defended fairly well. And only a couple of times did Derby get first contact, and it caused City a few problems.
Yeah, and let's take a look at some of the examples here from the first half at least. There's Max O'Leary being forced into a good save, but City able to cope and with the pressure here from Derby.
Well, they did. They showed on the day because we didn't concede, but obviously whilst I was watching the game, I thought we were giving away too many free kicks around the box and giving away too many corners, which allowed Derby to get into these positions to put us under pressure. And I felt as well, like Leroy said, that was the only way they were going to score today. But obviously, Max has done well. He's two great saves, what we expect him to save. But generally, I just thought that we were probably giving away a little bit too much in that area of the game, which allowed them to have a possibility to score.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, I criticised City in that out-swinging corner, Aaron, for not getting up, you know, and then allowing Yates to almost get that second touch. But what they did really well second half, and you're absolutely right, second half didn't give them any set pieces. I think they did have one, but the referee didn't give it. But City, they had it. And, you know, I'm sure Liam would have said to them, just don't give them any corners, don't give away cheap free kicks in and around your box. And they did that really well, and that showed a real discipline in the way that they defended. That means they were staying on their feet, they were seeing things out, not being rash, and, you know, so it was a cute bit of defending second half, and they took away Derby's threat in the second half by just not giving them any free kicks or corners.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, perhaps to build on that, in terms of the positives from City today, this really was the opposite from what we saw against Derby back in August when the reverse fixture took place. In fact, we've got a few clips which I think we can show just for the comparisons really between then and now.
Yeah, I was really I criticised the defenders there, because when he took this shot, look how many Bristol City defenders are stood between him and the ball, and not one of them has got their shorts dirty. They should be getting down the line of that ball and throwing themselves. You know, defending is hard, and you know what, you've got to put your body on the line. And again here, I think this is Caden Jackson again. He puts it in the net, and you know, there's 5 or 6 City players between him and the goal, and they all stood on their feet. Not one of them is getting down the line. They're stood watching. You've got to get down the line, close the space, and make sure you get a block in. And you know, otherwise it ends up in the back of your net. And that was a criticism that I threw at them. And when you criticise players, you expect a reaction. I'm sure Liam would have been aware of that as well. And since then, you've seen the defenders all getting down the line, putting their bodies, and that's just as important as playing those quality passes forward, getting on the ball. It's all the dirty stuff they're doing really well. So it's no coincidence they've had 3 clean sheets out of the last 4 games, which has secured them 9 points in those games, because they're playing well, but they're defending brilliantly.
Absolutely. And let's take a look at, you know, just the comparison to today then in many ways. We saw some of those highlights for Derby from that previous fixture, but as you point out, Leroy, you know, this is becoming a difficult place for teams to come and get a result. 3 clean sheets, Aaron. This is really this must be really pleasing for Liam.
Yeah, it sets a base to work from. If you feel like you're going to go out to games and you're not going to concede, then you know that you've got a nice little platform to build from. When I came back here last year, and games where they're 1-0 up and then they're always conceding, and you're always having to score 2 goals then. Yeah. So you're putting the onus on your attacking players to always be on form. But if you're guaranteed that you're limiting the goals that are being scored against you, you know that you can nick your 1-0 wins.
Yeah, Aaron, I just wanted to point out, this is Scott Twine, you know, the number 10, your playmaking number 10, getting back in the box, making sure he gets to, and it's against a big centre half, and he gets himself there, he puts his body on the line and makes an outstanding challenge, you know. And you know, people would forget that, thinking, oh, Derby didn't create anything, but if he's not prepared to do that dirty work, then, you know, Derby get an equaliser. Again, they get down the line there, I think it's Max Bird in front of, he's moving forward and trying to close the space down. Now, this is second half, edge of the box, again, getting the block in.
Max Bird.
It's Max Bird again, doing all that work, making it easy. We say that well, McNally and Viner and Dickey are playing at the back, but it's because of those midfield players doing all that dirty work, you know, for them, making it easy for them.
Yeah.
I was just going to add on to that.
Go on.
That's the first time I saw the goals from when you played Derby at Derby, and the highlights there to the highlights today in terms of the defending is chalk and cheese. Like Leroy said, like people are throwing their bodies on the line today, not so much in the game there, and that's the difference between coming away with a point away, for example, and the win today that we got today.
Yeah, and none of it was pretty, but you say those 3 points, that's where you win them, isn't it? And I'll just ask you as well, because we were desperate for a second goal. I think even the fans were in Ash to get every time we went forward. And Fally was one of those players today who might well on another have got that chance, but he came on, first appearance for him since Boxing Day. Naki Wells came off on the 57th minute, and Leroy, I mean, what did you make of his involvement? He had a couple of chances which we'll take a look at, but it was a bit of a nearly moment for him today.
Yeah, he's had a couple of knockbacks in recent weeks. Let's be honest, Sam Bell, he's sat on the bench and Sam Bell's come on before him, and so he's had a couple of mentally knockbacks which would have affected him. But what I liked about him coming on, he's trying really hard. And I think people will accept that. Any fan will accept when a player comes on and he works his absolute maximum. But I think he needs a goal, and sometimes by trying too hard you get yourselves out of good positions, and the opportunity he had in that second half, I just felt he ran out of a really good position. You know, when the ball goes wide, if there's no pressure on the ball, you can then hold your position, and it's George Tanner. Then George Tanner's got to find you. And if he just stands still there, what you'll find is defenders will run back to the 6-yard line. George Tanner will find him with a cutback, and he'll have a simple tap in. But because he's trying to get across in their post, now that should only happen, trying to get across in their post, when the player who's about to receive the ball has his head down and knows that he's just got to put it in first time because he's under pressure from the defender. That's when you get across in their post. And it's a simple rule for the centre forwards. But you see him there around the penalty spot. He's trying to get across in their post. George does put it in first time because he's trying to find him, and you find he's run past the opportunity. So now he's got to come up with a really clever finish, almost a backheel finish, because he's run past the ball. And that's because he's trying a little bit too hard. And you see it from this angle here. What he should be doing is making sure he finishes up between the posts, you know, but he finishes it outside the near post area. And that's the one thing I would say to him. You're working really hard, but when at that key moment, just think, how can you create the space in the box? And the reason how you create the space is the defender would run away from you. And this second one, he's just trying to score a worldie. I've seen it with young players. They think, oh, to get me out of trouble, I'm going to score a magnificent goal. But really what he needs to do is bring that down. Bring it down and say, right, it's not on, I'll bring that down and bring someone else into the game. It's not, you know, that's something that happens once in a million, where you're off the ground, you can hit a volley in the top corner. And it's because he's trying really hard. And so, you know, Liam will accept that all day long. He'll have players wanting to run around, trying really hard, because you can always work with that, Aaron, can't you?
That's correct. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Well, look, Aaron, I want to ask you as well, just in terms of a wrap-up on City's festive football results. We sort of looked at the numbers. I mean, actually, Luke mentioned it in his post-match interview. But if you look at December 22nd to today, 5 games played. I think it's 10 points from a possible 15 in total, but 3 clean sheets in there. Again, if you're Liam Manning, you must be really impressed with how City have come through this sort of packed schedule, fairly unscathed, and in amongst it for the playoffs. Yeah,
definitely. The Christmas period, we all know, is the busiest period. You get lots of players picking up little niggles due to the amount of games, and to come away with 10 points from possible 15, that's a magnificent return, to be honest. Obviously, you want to build on that now. They're in the bank already, so we kind of push them to the side. And what we're going to do next week, I know next week's FA Cup, but the next league game, and you just try and go again. Or just got to be focused on just picking up points. And if we're defending like how we defended today, I believe that we can go on and get away draws and wins, and obviously win our home games as well.
Absolutely. And Leroy, you're quite right to mention FA Cup is up next, next Saturday at home, Premier League opposition, Wolves. How do we approach this one? I mean, you sort of mentioned it in the sort of post-match. A bit of a free hit. Is that how you would view next week for the team, for the coaching staff, for Liam Manning?
Yeah, look, it's down to the physiotherapies now. Yeah, to say, look, these guys, they're big guys carrying injuries all through those games. They've got to make sure that they're 100% coming out of that FA Cup game. So anybody who's got any chance of making an injury worse, look, you sit at the bench at most. But everybody, and there's loads of players there who need game time. I'm looking at the subs on there. I'm looking at you needs game time. It's Tanner who came on. Sam Bell, they need game time. McGuane, who was great when he came into the side. You know, George Earthy, they need game time as well. So they need to come to the forefront. I know City fans be saying, look, we want a run, but you know what? These are good players as well. They can go and get a performance, you know, and so they'll be at the forefront of Liam Manning's in terms of the team that he picks, and they want to supplement that with players who are fully fit. You know, you come out of this period, and I'm thinking, it's Cam Pring's the one that's gone down with the hamstring over these 4 games. But coming out of that Wolves game, going into the Coventry game, hopefully Cam will be back, you know, with his hamstring injury, like Naismith, and then the squad will be as fully fit as possible going in, because it is about the league. We're in a great position. The FA Cup, brilliant. It's a bonus, but it's all about the league for me.
Absolutely. All right, well, look, we'll leave it there, chaps. We are at time here on Extra Time. The whistle's been blown. So, look, Aaron, thank you very much for joining us. Likewise, Leroy, and of course, hopefully we'll see you both together in the studio over the course of the season. But that is it for us here on Robins TV Extra Time today. Thank you very much for joining us and for watching us here today, reflecting on Bristol City's 1-0 win over Derby County, an important 3 points. And of course, next week, go again in the Cup, the FA Cup, hosting Wolverhampton Wanderers. There won't be coverage on Robins TV, but there will be the following week against Coventry City. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.